Alright, today I'm going to show you an endgame build in Wolong. All we have to do is get to part 5. We can actually do this in our first playthrough of the story. We just have to get the reinforcement for Guojia and get his set. As you can see, they messed up and he doesn't have the right name, but this is the guy we're looking for. We're going to be using his libationer set. As you can see, the one thing that we will want to drop eventually is an enchant. It doesn't have to be Toxin, but I think Toxin is the best one. So definitely shoot for that or put that on if you do have it. If you don't have it, just go ahead and put on melee damage. It won't make much of a difference. You'll also open up the other slot where I have Toxin damage in there, and you can use something else. Our armor is going to be a little bit different. We're going to do, again, if you did not have an enchant on your weapon, you're going to want to go with melee damage. But otherwise, we want damage versus enemies afflicted with status ailments, because that goes with our set, and we're just going to stack that as high as we can. And the one thing that is different is the gloves. We want to make sure we have power gain when you deflect a critical blow. And don't worry, I'm going to have you a nice organized list at the very end so you can just see all this and get it slotted into your gear. They're ready to, really light some guys up. For the accessories, we have to use the silver Liobo dice. The odds of you getting one as good as mine is pretty much 0. So just use what you get. You're pretty much stuck with it. For the other one, good things to look out for are damage reduction, any kind of damage dealt, preferably melee damage, and then you can look out for status effect accumulation. I would probably rank accumulation as number 1 thing that you want to put on here, but you can choose. It's a pretty free and open build. And for the last thing, finally, our bow. One thing to note with bows is that you only get the stat bonuses when they are equipped. If you have the offhand bow that is not actually equipped on you, you won't be getting any stat bonuses from it. So make sure you have this equipped and use these. The only one you can really change is luck. It doesn't matter what bow you have, just make sure you get that damage and status effect accumulation on there. Obviously, our Guardian Spirit is going to be Tangshi. It's going to give us the extra spirit damage versus enemies that are afflicted with status ailments, as well as extra accumulation on all status ailments. Now, your wizardry tree is going to look maybe a little different from mine. Again, it depends on what you have enchanted into your weapon. If you don't have Toxin and you have Fire, you're obviously going to want to swap the Fire weapon and put in the Toxin weapon so you can, kind of alleviate that weakness you have in here. So, of course, all that leaves is our stats, and these are pretty free to allocate however you want to. The one thing I would note is this build has next to no survivability. That's why we've stacked so much damage reduction on all of our armor. The wood also gives us additional time on our buffs, and we're pretty much only going to be using the weapon elemental buffs. So, if you wanted to use a different weapon, you can go ahead, but I do use the staff with this. And now that we have assembled everything, we are going to go and see what it's like in action. So for this, I am of course going to use the punching bag Yuan Shao. And as you can see, I'm just cycling through my elements, and we're going to exploit the stagger that each infliction of an ailment causes. Eventually, we're going to run out of ailments, and then, he's not going to stagger as much, but he has a lot going against him. Yuan Shao is a pretty easy guy to beat up on, but for regular enemies, they're completely trivialized with this. You'll be cycling through all these elements, and they won't even be able to move. Not even the strongest enemies in the game. Leishi, kind of, but still not quite. As for the other bosses, they're not going to be quite a punching bag like Yuan Shao. Some of them you kind of have to play straight up, but you still have really powerful tools in your kit to take them down quicker than you would normally. For a build that's completely free and anybody can get immediately after watching this video, it's pretty damn strong. I'm going to add a few things to the description below, so be sure to check that out if you want to push this just a little bit further. I think I do want to do maybe 1 or 2 more of these for the base game, but I'm really looking ahead for the DLC, so, be sure to follow the channel, and you can check that out when it comes. I'll have a lot crazier stuff then, and until next time.